Okay, and hello and welcome to another battle. This one is part of my Union playthrough campaign, but it's going to be a little bit different because here I am going to do a real tutorial of the game. I think this map is rather well suited for a tutorial. It is line fight. You protect the center, you move up forces, and I'll be able to demonstrate almost all the game mechanics in this battle. Given that it's after Shiloh and I have 2 cores, but I'm going to use my big core to deploy here, will give me more options. I don't have enough men in my smaller core to deploy. And we'll just get started. Okay, so you'll be told what the objective is. The situation is critical. We need to defend the center. And yeah, if we don't, we'll be destroyed. So that's not good. We have these 2 in front, but they're not enough, obviously. And so we're expected to advance the division and then protect the center. And in the beginning here, we can choose which brigades we want to bring. I am going to switch out my veteran brigades for my 2-star ones for my not so valuable ones. I don't need my elite, not quite elite, but my good brigades here anyway. And I'm just moving these up to the front line here so they're as close as possible. Going to bring a cannon. Normally I don't do this in this battle, but just to show what they do and how to move them. And yeah, so let's look at some basics first. You can click on a unit and it will show you the morale, the cover, and the condition. The morale will affect, of course, how well your soldiers are currently doing in combat, but it will affect how well they shoot. So the better morale they have, the better they will shoot. And if they reach critically low morale, they will fall back. They will fall back around 20%. And if they lose more than that, they will break and run. So that's how that works. Then there's cover, and cover will reduce incoming damage, and I think it also reduces outgoing damage slightly, which makes sense. I mean, if you're in a forest, you won't be shooting as many bullets out as you will be doing in open ground. Not quite sure on that. Then there's condition, which affects how fast your brigade will be moving, and it will affect how quickly your force or your brigade will reload. It will also affect melee quite heavily, and condition is basically how combat weary or how tired your brigade are. So if you march around and run it around everywhere, your brigade will lose condition quickly and will not be able to continue the fight on very well. So that's the sort of the basics. I think I'm gonna start it and then pause it to sort of show the movements you can do. Okay, so I paused it using P. There are a few ways to move a division or an army or just a brigade. I'm gonna start with the brigade here. You can right click, it will make a line, and this line is just straight out from the brigade in the direction you are currently clicking. So this is an easy way to just move a brigade, perhaps slightly forward, to the left, to the right. You can also hold the right key and then turn it, and the brigade will move into that position once it gets there. But if you don't want a straight line, and often you won't, because maybe you want it to make a turn around the enemy line, you can use the left key and draw a line. So that's useful too. You can also use the shift key to turn the brigade on the spot, like this. In Ultimate General Gettysburg you use the middle mouse button to do it, but here you use the shift key. To move more men at once, you can select them with the left key, you draw a box, and you can click like this, and they will move up in a straight line with the right click. So it functions like moving one brigade actually. They will move in a straight line towards the point that you designate them. And it seems they do it in like they will actually be in a line once you get there. So some will move longer paths than others, which is useful. Another way of doing it, because you don't always want your units in a straight line, so let's say I want to occupy this small ridge here, I can actually draw a line like this, and the units will occupy it to bend along the way. So if I want to occupy, I don't know, I can make any formation I want basically. But if I want to occupy a line like this, let's say this tree line here, I want to make sure my brigades stay within it, I can do something like that. And my divisions will stay within that line. You can move as many troops as you want this way, and it can be quite useful. They will also arrive more or less at the same time. The general will not run out in front of your other troops. That's some basic movements here. If you want to cancel orders given, because this is a rather silly order, we want to protect the center here, you click space for cancel. Okay, so that's some basics about movement. Let's see what else we can do. We have the command here, or the order to capture the center. Currently it's held by the Confederates, so it doesn't seem like there are any troops on the I'm gonna call it victory point for now, the victory point. And we have some troops holding the flanks and a battery up here. Yeah, so that's sort of the objective of many of your battles. You'll find that they're either objective to defend or capture, and they're shown like this, and you're given a time to do it. Then there's some basic keys down here, or orders, and I think it's useful for you if you learn these, at least the combat ones, by heart. So you want to know the hold button for space. It's also to cancel orders, as I said before, and they can be used in combination with fallback, which is here. So if you click F to fall back from an enemy and you don't want it to keep falling back, you click F and stop it. I'll show that in combat later. And there's also run, which is here. Double click R for run. Brigade will show run. I'm gonna do combined run here when the battle starts, and rush by brigades to the center. And then there's obviously the charge button, the C button, and I don't use it that often because it's a bit of a risky move, but if you have overwhelming numbers, or you can charge in from the flanks or the rear, it can be a good move to use charge. And for me, it's simply just easier if you remember these hotkeys. It's not as important to remember detached skirmishers or combined division. Let's just talk about combined division actually for a second. Combined division will allow you to combine two smaller brigades into a larger one, and you can do it up to a maximum size of 2,500. So if these guys here fall below, let's say they fall to 1,000 men each, I can then combine them to make sort of a super brigade, so I don't lose out on brigades like that way. I can actually do it with these two guys. I think they're from the same division, 2nd Division and 2nd Division, but I don't have time for that when the battle starts. But it's an option that you want to use if you watch my first battle. I use it there with great success. Then there's the general, and he will give morale bonuses to your troops. I think that's it for the basics here. One last thing, maybe supply. Supply is this wagon, and your units will run out of supply if they keep shooting for extended amounts of time. They'll shoot at 1/3 of the rate after they run out of ammunition, and then they'll, it's like they're seeking for like scavenged ammunition, and they'll serve some purpose. Cannons will do the same. Okay, so let's start the battle and see what happens. I'm gonna cheat and select the brigades here first, because I want to run them forward. Actually, I want these to run forward first. So I'm gonna move these up to secure the center real quick as a buffer, and then the rest of my brigades can move up here as fast as they can. I'm gonna use control to deselect scales here, and then have the rest of them run. Need to deselect all of them. There we go. So I can now only have my brigade selected. You can see they're pressing us quite heavily on the flanks and the center. And I can move the cannon up for closer support. I'm going to use the detached skirmisher here to distract this brigade, and then be able to push these guys back here. These guys get into combat. They can't handle themselves too well up here, but they just need to hold out until my troops, the real heroes, get there. Right, so we're gonna see if we can get on the flanks of as many brigades as possible. This is where you do the most damage, both morale damage and actual damage to the enemy brigades. Right, so we got off to a pretty okay start. And cannons are moved around like your brigades. You just move them around like this. If you move them far enough, they will mount up and move with their horses. And so we're gonna turn off run for all these guys to not wear down their condition too much. Okay, so I'm gonna fall back here and then click space to cancel it because I don't want it to fall back too far. And Robinson was routed backwards here. Gonna keep pressing them while we have some advantage, and we'll see if we can get some units in on the flanks here. Yeah, we've stabilized the center now, and now we just sort of need to hold out until the timer ends. This one up here. Need to secure the flanks more than the center now, maybe. Sometimes I like to use manual targeting if I want to select a specific brigade like this. Another thing you can do is, if you want the AI to control some of your brigade, I'm going to take some from the 2nd Corps here. You can click on the division here, and you can click on the AI, and then you can choose the AI to either be should show. Okay, this is offensive. It will show here, I think, yeah, offensive mode and defensive mode, and you can actually see that this brigade and this one shift color, which shows that now they are under AI control. And then you can choose a point for them if you have the division selected for them to attack. This is really useful if you have trouble micromanagement all the brigades at once. So that's how it works. I'm not sure if you can't draw a line, but you can choose a point that you want the AI to defend or attack, and or you can just choose the AI to be in either defensive mode or offensive mode. So that's how that works. I am gonna take it back off AI mode again because I like having control of my units. We're going to reattach these skirmishers here to Cart Brigade again. And we can have a quick look at how the combined division looks like. You click on it, and the brigade will move to the nearest brigade from the same division and sort of combine with it. I'm gonna fall back here on the right because it's a bit dangerous, all these brigades over here. I don't have that good ground to defend or attack from over here, so I'm gonna fall back and yeah. So we've driven the AI back now, and just need to stabilize the left flank here as well. And using the cannons here aggressively on the front lines can sometimes do great damage, but you also risk losing the cannons to a charge, or they can take rather extreme damage from being shot at in the open. Definitely want to be careful. Right then. What you can see here actually is my general. I I decided to have Grant as a core commander instead. He has a 2-star rating, and I unfortunately only have a 1-star rating as a general. So I made my core a little better by firing myself as core commander and introduced Grant instead after Shiloh as a core commander. So you can do that if you don't find it to ruin your role playing too much. And here you can actually, if you want, you can click entire cores at once and move them. Gives you sort of an overview of which core is which. If you click space to hold, it gets a little triangle here to show that it's holding. That can be useful. And there are the speed options here, which I'm going to use now to let the battle end. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial video. If you have any questions, you are free to ask in the comment section. Okay, interestingly, the AI has decided that my left flank is weaker than the center, so they're gonna go for the right and see if they can do some damage to do my best to prevent it. I'm falling back, sort of refusing my line to prevent them from being outflanked. I definitely don't want your troops to be shot at from the flanks, because they will do lots of damage, and most importantly, it will affect their morale a lot, and you don't want that to happen. I'm gonna withdraw my supplies. I don't want to use more of them in this battle. I can wipe out the enemy's supplies. It's a bug for now that the supply wagon does this. A mention here, you can click like a last mention here, you can click on the info icon. You can see which rifle it has, how many numbers, and sort of the combat strength of your brigade. You can also see which rank it has. And we're going to choose to finish it. Okay, that wraps it up. As I said, feel free to ask in the comment section for anything you might want to know. Bye.